Russia has deliberately attacked NATO airspace, and this is exactly why you should be diversifying internationally. As while I don't believe that NATO will declare war against Russia, I do believe that it shows that provocations inherently create political chaos, and as this ramps up, I believe that there will be consequences towards Russia that could be detrimental. Hello and welcome back to the Traveling Report. Today I wanted to really dive into how Russia attacking NATO airspace plays into a downfall of Russia realistically, and also it's something that you should be looking to diversify because of. Both Romania, which I was recently in, and Poland have been attacked with drones. Additionally, there have been other reportings of drones in other EU member states, and as drones become the commonplace thing for Russia to use as provocation, I believe that NATO will start ramping up military spending even more than it already has. And this is something that, of course, will be very interesting to follow as things develop and things become perhaps more heated in the moment. And while I think that realistically the quote, "nothing ever happens," will ring true here, I believe that, of course, there is some chance that something does happen. And if something does happen, it's good to be diversified. It's good to have a second passport, to be able to move to another country at the snap of a finger. I'm presently here in Plovdiv, Bulgaria, which is the oldest European city, period. And here people are a little bit more neutral towards wars and towards aggression. And of course, Bulgaria is in NATO, so it does have an obligation to protect other NATO countries. However, it doesn't tend to be a country that is at all interested in war. It actively tries to actually stay out of war. And countries like Bulgaria, countries like Serbia, to a lesser extent, albeit as Serbia has done a lot of things in the past, and so there's no guarantee that Serbia wouldn't fight in the near future. Countries like Vietnam, countries like Uzbekistan are increasingly becoming more interesting as geopolitical hedges, and that's where I'm putting my boots, are in countries that are unique geopolitical hedges that don't placate to the notion that you have to live your life in some certain way. And so I think that as time goes on, I will report on more developing stories towards these sorts of events, not to get into the political side of things, but to understand exactly how it implicates those of us who are getting second passports, those of us who do want to spend time in these countries, who do want to interact with these people. And of course, in the case of Poland, they have always been very anti-Russia. And this hasn't just been some one-off. Of course, they still understand and they still remember the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact of World War II. That's something that a lot of living Poles still remember. And they also remember the communist era, where even people that are just slightly older than me lived through communism. And while, of course, many in the West are moving towards communism, many in the West are believing that communism is a good system, it does benefit the world. I think that realistically, believing in a utopia is inherently creating a poor setup for actuality and reality that, of course, I can't say I agree with you. That said, if you are a communist, there are plenty of places where you can go, that you probably would be accepted, that you probably would be understood, And I'm not here to really bash your ideology. If you are a communist, great. If you are a capitalist, great. I just realistically, I'm trying to report based on what the polls think. And the polls are very anti-communist, in wide part. I believe they are one of the most anti-communist states in the world, alongside other post-communist countries in Europe. Now, of course, this creates a huge gap between Russia, who is still believing in what the USSR practiced and preached, as if you look at poll numbers, the amount of Russians who still believe in the rhetoric of the USSR and still believe the USSR was a good thing is very high. And of course, if you believe that, perfectly fine. That's your view, that's your opinion. However, that contrasts severely with Poland, who saw the USSR as inherently extractive, as obviously prior to World War II. For example, Lviv was Lvov, and it was a Polish city that was a part of what was then the Kingdom of Poland. And after the dissolution of the monarchy and the inclusion of the Communist Party, of course it was ceded to Ukraine after World War II, as it was given to the USSR as a result of World War II, for whatever reason. Essentially, there's a deep-seated trust issue between the Poles and the Russians, and as that simmers, I believe that Poland will be willing and will be able to fight. And this is something that, of course, you have to be ready to move to another country at the drop of a hat and protect your family, protect your assets. And, of course, this is what I do. This is what I am working in. So if you're looking to protect your assets, if you're looking to protect your family, feel free to drop down to the description down below, and you can get a 15-minute consulting call one-on-one, absolutely free of charge. That said, of course, if you liked the video, feel free to like it. If you really liked the video, feel free to share it. If you're looking to join me on this journey of internationalization and globalization, feel free to subscribe. This has been the Traveling Report, signing off.